You're listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast network.
There's a team that's in our hearts. We've got love that won't depart. We are always in the stands, 'cause we're super Dolphin fans. Football is mighty rough. Winning gets awful tough. We're rooting for the Dolphins. Our mighty, mighty Dolphins. We're rooting for the Dolphins. Our mighty, mighty Dolphins.
Hello, Miami Dolphin fans. Welcome to a post-game special Same Old Dolphins Show. I'm Josh Katzker. Literally with me today and every day is my brother from the exact same mother, Aaron the Brain. Aaron, say hello to the people.
Hello to the people.
So the Dolphins won.
They won.
Big dub.
A game. I don't even know that I wanted a game like this. You'd rather just lose. And not even just because of, the outlook of the season and draft capital and all that and all the reasons why I, want them to tank. But it's the way that they won the game. They won this game not because they took this game. They won this game because the Jets gave away the game with mistakes and turnovers and penalties. And, the fumble on the 1 yard line, a questionable offensive pass interference call. Although I thought there was a little bit of a makeup call on Garrett Wilson's
For sure.
touchdown later in the game. But that said, look, did the Dolphins play their best, most complete, cleanest game of the season? Yes, they did. And they still let the Jets hang around in the game. It wasn't an overly dominant performance. A win is a win. If you're hoping for the Dolphins to keep their season alive, this keeps their season alive. But I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about what's probably going to be the biggest story coming out of this game, which is the injury to Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, that's going to be the thing that I think kills this. I mean, not kills the team, but it's going to put a damper on it. And I think, especially if you watch the game, obviously the good thing was the Dolphins were able to establish the running game, and that was true throughout today, which was beneficial to them. But as we go forward here, they're going to have to figure out a way to make this offense work without Tyreek Hill. And as we have seen in the past, this offense takes a huge step backwards when Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle is absent. It has been something that this team has struggled with. So now we're going to see, can this team find a way with its wide receiver room, which we talked about before the season being one of the deepest rooms on the team. Are they going to be able to dig deep now and figure out a way to bounce back going forward without Tyreek Hill? Obviously, the big thing that's going to give them a lift here is the emergence of Darren Waller, and that is, I think, key. I mean, the Waller debut was better than I think any of us or either of us reasonably hoped it would be.
The Waller debut, this is what you were hoping to see when they signed or when they traded for Darren Waller. If you would have said, coming into the season, like, this is what we're going to get from Darren Waller, and it's just one game. But if this is what we're going to get from Darren Waller all season, there wouldn't have been very many people complaining about that trade or complaining about, trading away Jonnu Smith because essentially Darren Waller is going to be the Jonnu Smith role is my takeaway from this. For him to be playing on a snap count only in certain packages in his first game and to be used the way that they used him in huge high leverage spots, he's going to be a big part of this offense. And, as far as, look, you don't replace a Tyreek Hill, but this is an opportunity for Jalen Waddle to be the number one guy that he's paid to be. And then I think some of the things that you do with Tyreek Hill, you can do with a guy like a Malik Washington or potentially a D Eskridge. But obviously they're not going to give you everything that Tyreek Hill does, and nor anywhere near his production. So it really comes down to getting a lot more production out of Jalen Waddle, running the offense through Jalen Waddle, getting production from Darren Waller and Malik Washington, utilizing Devon Achane out of the backfield. There's plenty of weapons, but overall, in order to make all of that happen, the one thing that has to be consistent is the one thing the Dolphins did a good job of today, which was committing to the run and running effectively.
Yeah, they did a very good job of that today, and I think it's ultimately the reason why they won this game. That and the fact that they were up against a Jets team that just was a complete mess operationally. And you saw it with, I think they ended up with 12 penalties or something like that over the course of the game. Don't have the stats in front of us. We're recording this immediately after the game just wrapped. But it was certainly not a good performance from the Jets. Very sloppy. And with all that being said, the Dolphins still kind of let them hang around to the point that, they ended up winning the game 26-21. But if the Jets recover that onside kick, anything can happen. So, listen, I think you come away from the game knowing that you did some things well. You forced 3 turnovers, which is huge. You got a very good debut from Darren Waller, which is huge. You had a very good day running the ball with Devon Achane. It was mostly a pretty clean operation from the Dolphins' perspective. So you walk away going, okay, we've done some things really, really well today. But you also walk away from the game knowing that you did those things really, really well against a bad team and a team that played a very bad game. You come away from that game knowing that you did lose your wide receiver 1. So I think it's certainly okay to say that you took a little step forward today as a team, especially considering where you've been over the course of the last 3 games. But it's one little step, and this team still has a very long way to go. This win will certainly ease some pressure on Mike McDaniel, and it will ease, I think, a lot of pressure on a lot of people, and it will enable this team to kind of approach these next couple of games with maybe just relaxing into it a little bit more. But make no mistake, this team has a very long way to go, and I would say that if anybody, as you're listening to post-game analysis and you're listening to other people talk, if anybody comes away from this overly positive or overly effusive in their praise and trying to arrive at a conclusion that this team is back, we are back, we are on our way, that is a gross overstatement, because the Dolphins have a short week coming up, and then they're going to take on the Carolina Panthers, which is a team that has, for the most part, also been a mess operationally this season, but certainly has some weapons at their disposal, and certainly not going to be a cupcake. And, then the Chargers come to town. So I don't want to get ahead of myself, but this team, listen, you got to win. That's great. Certainly beats the alternative of having lost this game, but in the grand scheme of things, I think we learned some things today, but I don't think we learned a whole lot about the Dolphins today.
I think in a strange way that, look, I don't wish an injury like that on anybody, somebody having their livelihood taken away from them, essentially, because we don't know how long Tyreek Hill is going to be out, but it's going to be an extended period of time. That seems clear. I think this is an opportunity, not to be all Mike McDaniel, and adversity is an opportunity, but this is an opportunity to learn about what this offense can look like.
Yeah.
It's a job interview. The rest of the season is an interview for Mike McDaniel trying to keep his job.
Yeah.
How does he navigate this offense without Tyreek Hill? How does he navigate Tua's clear limitations as a quarterback, and still find a way to keep this team competitive and play winning football. You got to go week to week at this point. I mean, personally, the attractiveness of losing this game it's an opportunity to, completely accept the failure and just punt the season and really get a move on everything that you need to do. But they won this game. We'll see what happens next week. If they win next week, then all of a sudden it's going to feel like there are stakes again.
Yeah.
But, I remember last season where the season started off the way it did. And as we kind of got towards the tail end of the season, we said, when do you take the Dolphins seriously as a playoff contender? And my answer was when they're above 500. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be the case, because for the Dolphins to get above 500, they're going to have to beat multiple teams that are playoff caliber teams and not lose to the teams that are not playoff caliber teams. So I'm not taking the Dolphins seriously after this win. They easily could have lost this game to a really bad Jets team that played a really poor game. I think going on the road against the Panthers, the Panthers played terribly this week in New England, but when they last played at home, they won 30-0. So look, I think that's going to be it's going to be difficult. It's much harder to win on the road than it is at home. I'm interested to see how the Dolphins look offensively without Tyreek Hill. I think the defense is making some strides, but it's still shaky. And you just want to see, like, if your hope is that the Dolphins are going to climb out of this thing and they're going to make a run and they're going to be potentially a playoff team, they're going to need to continue to play better every week, because if they play the way they played even this week, I think that's a loss next week.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. I think it's listen, they played a clean game by their standards today. They played a better game by their standards. I might argue that for most of this game, they probably, I don't know. I think you could make an argument, and I would have to go back and really look at it, but I think you could make an argument that they did a lot of things in the Buffalo game better than they did today against the Jets. But they were up against a significantly worse team today. And so they were able to walk away with a victory. And so that is what it is. So where they are now is they come back from this. They've got to, with a team like the Dolphins, there's no such thing as a gimme. There's no such thing as a cupcake. So they're going to travel to Carolina next week and take on the Panthers. And that's going to actually be a tough game for them. And I think that's as far as I'm looking ahead right now. I think if they should win that game, we'll see what happens, because then you have a potentially big game with the Chargers the following week, but we're not looking there. You got to take what you did today. You got your win against the Jets. I mean, and listen, fuck the Jets. I mean, let's be honest, right? So you got your win. Good. You take that. You look at what you did well today. You take those things, you move on to the next game, and you go from there. But don't get carried away. Don't get carried away. That's what I would say if you're a Dolphin fan. Look, it's okay. Enjoy it. Good. It's good to win. It's always good to beat the Jets. Like I said today, records don't matter. Players don't matter. Quality of play doesn't matter. It's always fuck the Jets. Doesn't matter, regardless. So you got your win. You beat the Jets. Great. If you lose the rest of the games this season, except for the next time you play the Jets, whatever. So
that would be amazing. That would be the perfect season, is to have a 2-15 season where your only 2 wins are against the Jets. That's the goal.
Incredible banter. Anyway, there we are. So Dolphins get the win, move to 1-3, have a short week now before they travel to Carolina to take on the Panthers. But like I said, takeaways, there are certainly some good things, but they're good things that happened against the Jets. So let's see when you could start to do those things. Because, right, that's the narrative with this team. The narrative with this team for the entire Mike McDaniel era is that they do good things against the bad teams. right? And
Mm-hmm.
they played, obviously the Colts are much better than I think anybody would have expected coming into the season. And they didn't do a terribly good job against the Patriots. They kind of crapped the bed against the Patriots, which is a not good team. But you beat the Jets, and obviously you lost to the Bills, which, that's vintage Mike McDaniel Dolphins is, you put up a fight but lose to a good team. So now let's go ahead. You got another quote unquote weaker team coming up next week. Let's prove it. But as we said last year, coming out of the 2023 season, nothing that the Dolphins do in terms of positive performance against good teams in September and October really mean anything, because where this team has always fallen short is in the big games in November and December. And I mean, I still don't know that this team is going to be looking at even playing big games in November or December. Right. So long way to go. Take the victory today. Be happy about it. It's a good thing. It's positive, but take it with a huge grain of salt, because there's a long way to go. And, it is what it is. It's the Jets. But you know what? Fuck the Jets. That's it. So thank you for tuning into this quick post-game episode of the Same Old Dolphins Show. We'll be back Thursday with a proper episode plus a bonus episode for Dolphins Talk Extra subscribers, which you can always, of course, subscribe to at patreon.com/DolphinsTalk. But until then, take care of yourselves and each other. And as always, go Dolphins!
Fuck the Jets.
Fuck them.